Years ago, a dear friend of mine gave me an antique portrait brooch of Marie Antoinette when I started my business. He said, "This is to remind you, never lose your head." Well, I didn't lose my head, but I did lose the brooch. So I'm here to give you 2 simple hacks to be able to keep your brooches safe. So simple, one of them involves a rubber band. You will never lose your head then, or your brooch. You can pin your hopes on that. Brooch catches can fail. Either the bayonet works itself out and the fabric is slippery, it doesn't hold that bayonet and it falls off when you don't know it, or the safety catch just doesn't hold. So we have 2 techniques. Our first method for keeping your brooches safe is what I call the rubber band method, because that brooch will always come back to you. Let me show you how to use the rubber band method using this brooch I just finished for a client and her anniversary. There's the bayonet, here's the piece of rubber band. Position it on some fabric. So this is just a polishing cloth. Put the rubber band over the bayonet. So see what happens? It sticks a bit. So you put it through the bayonet, but then you still have to also go into the back and attach the bayonet into the safety. So you do that and voila, it's safe. The second method is using something called the MagnaPin. I'm using a MagnaPin with my brooch here. The MagnaPin is great if you don't want to poke a hole in your fabric. Say you have a beautiful silk scarf you want it to go through, or some other fabric you don't want the snags. The MagnaPin will allow it to attach. I also use the MagnaPin because I can reposition it easily once I've put it on. See? There it is. There's the magnet. It snaps. Let's put it back on my shoulder if I wanted it in a different place. You can move it all around to different positions pretty easily and doesn't involve hit and miss of poking the bayonet through the fabric and seeing if you got there or not. So these are 2 pieces. You see how they come apart? There's a magnet that attaches them. Oh, okay, so the magnet works. But on one of the pieces, you're going to stick your bayonet through this hole. Now let's see how we go. It goes through the hole, and then you're going to attach it to the clasp safety. Of course, you'll have an easier time with this because you're not doing it through a camera. So now the MagnaPin is installed, and let's get some fabric. Oh, here's some silk twill fabric. Now, say you don't want this position on here. You could easily move it. You wanted to move it up your shoulder or someplace else. It's easy to move. It can even move while you're wearing it. I do that a lot when I don't have it right on my shoulder. And see, this is a silk twill scarf, but you can see it's pretty safe. But you have to always be checking it too, okay? The MagnaPin works well for smaller pieces, say like this demantoid Edwardian brooch, but this beautiful rhodolite garnet wave brooch I had before, it's not going to work as well with the MagnaPin because you'll see how you'd always see it through it. There's openings in it. So that's one thing you do need to consider with the MagnaPin. I like being able to position it. With the MagnaPin too, it's strong enough, this magnet. Here's a wool jacket, here's a scarf. You know, it's still connecting in here. So a lot of times I'll wear a scarf over a jacket and I can position them and hold them a little more tightly with the MagnaPin. Now, see, it's pretty darn strong. Another use for the MagnaPin is if you have a very heavy brooch. I would always never just rely on a MagnaPin. I would anchor this into heavy fabric. This isn't made for thin fabric. It has the 2 bayonets, but I put one of them through the fabric, well, both of them, but then I just use the MagnaPin as an extra anchor to keep this extra strong because it is heavy and I don't want it pulling down on the fabric and I don't want to lose it. The MagnaPin is not as much one-size-fits-all hack as the rubber band hack because sometimes the MagnaPin is it can be bigger than your brooch, or your brooch can have openings in it and somebody will see the MagnaPin through it and you're not going to want that. But the MagnaPin definitely has a place in your jewelry box. I'll put links for the MagnaPin in the show descriptions here if you want to see where to find them. And I think you know where to find a rubber band and scissors. I'll be adding this video to my Jewelry Styling Hacks playlist. Here it is. So subscribe. You might want to consider being notified so you know when we add the next hack so you can find these solutions again. I'm Cynthia Renee. I'm a gem mine geologist turned colored gemstone dealer and award-winning jewelry designer. Until next time, remember, don't lose your head. And for heaven's sakes, don't lose your brooch. Add any comments, you have any questions, I'm happy to hear them and answer them. Until next time.